So, a very good morning to all of you. Jai Hind and welcome to the Daily Current Affairs and MCQ series. So, the first article that we are talking about today relates to the Bharatnet optical fiber based internet through which the government of India aims to connect the Gram Panchayats and subsequently the villages in the Bharat or in the rural landscape as we call it, right? So, the point is that this scheme is running behind schedule both in the phase 1 and phase 2. So, that is the article, that is the thing that, that this article talks about with respect to the Bharatnet, that it is running behind schedule in both phase 1 and phase 2 of its implementation, right? The central government's flagship scheme, that is the Bharatnet, which aims to connect all the Gram Panchayats in India. Remember, it is, the word is all, right? It is not some chosen or some districts under the aspirational districts program, but rather it is all the districts, right? And the all the Gram Panchayats, sorry, that all the Gram Panchayats and subsequently all the villages जो भी इन ग्रामीण इलाकों में गांव हैं, to high speed optical fiber based internet, right? If you certainly want to bring in that all time connectivity element, and which is also supported by high speed, you have to bring in this optical fiber based internet connectivity, right, which the Bharatnet project exactly aims to. Then out of the total 1,18,000 Gram Panchayats had been made service ready under the phase 1. That is, a number of 1,18,000 Gram Panchayats were made operational or were made service ready. That is, we'll take a look at what exactly we mean by service ready under the phase 1. But that number has, been not so great when we talk about the Gram Panchayats which were made service ready under the phase 2 of the Bharatnet project, and this data is as late as June 25, 2021, right? So all these statistics are of recent origin only. Then when we talk about this particular thing, that a particular Gram Panchayat, is it service ready or not, what exactly does that mean? When we say that a particular Gram Panchayat is service ready under the Bharatnet project, then we essentially say that the particular Gram Panchayat has been connected to the main grid of the internet of the block headquarters, right? उस block के जो भी headquarters हैं उस area के, उसकी internet grid के साथ this Gram Panchayat has been connected, which essentially means that it is ready to now cater to the users. Whereas when we talk about internet connectivity in that Gram Panchayat, it is considered open. That is, an open Gram Panchayat only if there are end users connected to internet grid, which means that being internet ready or being service ready is one thing, but also if you are having end users who have been established or who have been successfully connected to that grid, that means, or that would translate to that Gram Panchayat being open, right, in the Bharatnet project terminology I'm talking about, right? So yeah, exactly, this is for rural areas. ठीक है, so that is the development. The government is running behind its schedule, and let's see if they up the progress on this particular project. चलिए, so moving to the question, which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the Bharatnet project? Bharatnet is being implemented by Bharat Broadband Network Limited, BBNL. Then BBNL is a special purpose vehicle set up by the government of India under the Companies Act. And third, National Optical Fiber Network, or NOFN, that was launched in 2018 was renamed as Bharatnet project in 2020. Yes. Hanji, good morning all of you. Good morning. Yes, please type your answers in the comment box. I'll just take a halt here. Okay, C. All are saying C, so चलिए ठीक है. Joy, that is with respect to rural areas. Okay, chalo, theek hai. Discussing the first statement, that is, it is being implemented by the BBNL or the Bharat Broadband Network Limited. That certainly is correct. A special purpose vehicle was set up by the Government of India under the Companies Act of 1956 as amended in 2013, and this BBNL was created, right? Then the third statement essentially is incorrect, because in the year not 2015 but in 2011, as early as 2011, it was launched under the name of National Optical Fiber Network, right? And later in 2015, when the NDA came to power, it was named as Bharatnet. So third statement is essentially incorrect. So your answer will be 1 and 2, that is option C, right? Chalo. Raj, if you are viewing it on your mobile, then it could be a problem, but otherwise all the other people are having no issues with font whatsoever, right? So try and make sure that you are viewing it on a larger screen or on a laptop or a desktop. Chaliye, so for question 1, answer is C. Moving forward. So this was a report which was published yesterday in the newspapers, that the Covaxin has established an efficacy against Delta variant and the severe COVID cases also, right? The asymptomatic cases, the Delta variant and the severe COVID cases, which is, which proves a point that we here in India also can develop great novel products. So Bharat Biotech announced that the safety and efficacy analysis data from the phase 3 clinical trials of its vaccines, that is the Covaxin, which was developed in partnership with ICMR and NIV, that is the National Institute of Virology, right, in Pune. This has found to be 77.8% effective against symptomatic COVID-19 infections. This is the third latest clinical trial phase data, right? Then the vaccine has also shown 65% efficacy against the Delta variant. Now remember, the Delta variant and the Delta Plus are being considered to be the new threats, right? And some parts of the world are even having or even witnessing an increase in cases once again. Then when we talk about the severe COVID cases, it has shown an higher efficacy of 93%. Now this is, which really astonishes me, that is something to really, be proud of, that it has achieved an even higher efficacy against severe cases of COVID-19, right? That is what the research by ICMR and NIV jointly said, and this establishes the ability of India, and with India the other developing world countries as well, to focus on or towards innovation, because we, most of the times countries which are either in the developing or the LDCs, the least developed countries, they are perpetually or most of the times dependent on the first world, quote unquote, if you allow me to use that term, or the developed countries, for all the things which are innovation based or anything which is backed by new research and development, right? So that goes on to show that we also have the ability to develop novel products, right? Chaliye, so that is with respect to Covaxin. Moving to the question now. Yes, which of the following statements is or are correct about the COVID vaccine developed by Bharat Biotech? Covaxin has received emergency use authorization in more than 10 countries so far, and has also obtained emergency use listing by the WHO. And second, the WHO EUL is a risk-based procedure for assessing and listing unlicensed vaccines. And 3, the EUL concerns 3 product streams, that is vaccines, therapeutics and in vitro diagnostics. Good morning, Kshitija. Yes, please type your answers quickly. Okay, 2 is D. चलिए ठीक है, डिस्कस करते हैं फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट. The first statement, certainly those who have marked D as the answer, that is correct, because first is incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Because right now the emergency use listing by WHO or the World Health Organization has not been given for Covaxin, right? Bharat Biotech has said that they are in talks with WHO, they are providing them the details, the specifications which WHO has asked for, and they are going to get this EUL, but they have not yet obtained it. So first is incorrect. Although Covaxin has got emergency use authorization in more than 10 countries across the world, but not the WHO EUL, right? Then both the second and third statements, they precisely are the facts related to the emergency use listing procedure, and it talks about, or it concerns, vaccines, therapeutics and in vitro diagnostics, all the three things, right? So your answer will be option D, that is second and third statements are correct for question 2. And precisely you are required to mark the correct statement. Chaliye. So moving forward, yes, so quite some time has passed now since we first had the expose or the leaks on the Panama Papers, and many Indians have also stashed their illegally accounted or black money in the foreign accounts, which was revealed by the Panama Papers, right? Now this is an RTI expose that was done recently, or that the information was recently accessed by the Indian Express Group, and they have published it from the information they have obtained from the Central Board of Direct Taxes. So let's discuss that. The CBDT has said that till June 2021, undeclared assets totaling to 20,000 crores have been identified by the CBDT, the Central Board of Direct Taxes in India and abroad, following the investigation. This investigation, it was helmed by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists and involving 100 media partners, right? That was the group, or the ICIJ, that essentially in collaboration with other organizations across the world did this investigation. And now the CBDT is, on the basis of this investigation, taking up these cases and totaling or gathering the information that what is the amount which Indians have stashed as black money abroad. Then this was revealed in a reply to the RTI requests filed by the Indian Express, as I told you. And mind you, if we compare the latest revelation through these RTI requests with the previous ones, it's a quantum jump when we talk about this 20,000 crore undeclared assets figure, right? Because earlier, when the figures were released in the previous RTI requests by the Central Board of Direct Taxes, that amounted to 1,564 crore, that is, just 1,500 crores roughly, and 1,088 crores. And now see 2018, 2019, and now this latest figure until June 2021, that is manifold than the previous figures, which means that still we have to uncover much amount of money which has been stashed as undeclared assets or black money, right? Then CBDT has also submitted the latest data for action it has taken. One thing is that you uncover that amount, but another thing is that that money which has, on which the tax has not been paid, which has been earned or accumulated or accrued illegally through illegal means, that also has to be forfeited, or you have to recover that amount of money, right? Because it does not belong to these people. So for that action taken, the CBDT has said that till last month they have filed prosecutions in various courts under the Black Money Act and the Income Tax Act. Now under the Indian economy module, from the black economy perspective, what all becomes important for you? The Central Board of Direct Taxes, ICIJ as an organization, what is CBDT doing? The Black Money Act and the Income Tax Act, right? Few facts from the prelims perspective and the issue at large from mains perspective, and even the interview. Chaliye. So moving to the question, which of the following statements is or are correct about the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists? The ICIJ is funded by the United States Department of State and the European Union collectively. And second, it is a US based non-profit entity and draws its members from across the world, partnering more than 100 media organizations. Yes, good morning Deepthi, good morning Mohsin. Please type your answers for question number 3. Yes. हाँ जी, बाकी लोग along with the question number, please type your answers before we start discussing the first question. Are you guys googling or what? Okay, Anjali says C and Kshitija says B. Yes, the rest of you. Okay, A, B, C. ठीक है. See, the first statement stands incorrect because US Department of State has no relation whatsoever, right? It is entirely funded by or through donations. So first is incorrect, but second is correct because ICIJ is a US based non-profit entity, right? And like the Wall Street Journal, the Guardian, the New York Times, all these reputed organizations across the world, including even the BBC, they are as the partner organizations of ICIJ, and they help them conduct these investigations to reveal such things to the world, right? So the answer will be B. That is, only second statement is correct. So taking a look at that, it is fully funded by donations, and no role or no funding is being done either by the US or the EU, right? And it is a unique US based non-profit entity having 267 of the best investigative reporters from 100 countries and more than 100 media organizations as partner organizations, including the BBC, the New York Times, the Guardian, etc., just to name a few, right? Chaliye. So moving to the next article that concerns the new draft anti-trafficking bill that has been released by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. And now what the Ministry of Women and Child Development has essentially said, that they seek recommendations or advice from the people as to what the improvement could be made in the existing law, right? This has to be tabled in the parliament, but right now it is in the draft stage and the ministry has sought suggestions from public at large, right? So the Ministry of Women and Child Development invited suggestions and comments for its Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Care and Rehab Bill 2021, and for this the bill now would be sent to the cabinet for approval before it is tabled in the parliament, right? After this window of seeking suggestions from the people at large, the civil society organizations, all those people or organizations which are involved in anti-trafficking activities or rescue operations or even the rehab, right? Because rehabilitation, remember, the point is prevention. You have to prevent it, then you have to provide for the care of the person who has been rescued, right? And the rehabilitation thing, because otherwise the person runs the risk of again being caught into some or the other unfortunate situation, right? So the cabinet has now, it will give its approval to the bill before it is sent to the parliament. It is tabled in the parliament. And what is the change that the bill envisages to introduce? It has increased the scope of the nature of offences of trafficking as well as the kind of victims of these offences. Now remember, trafficking in India still remains a daunting challenge, and remember, more from when you read social issues in your GS papers, and those of you who are having sociology as the optional, from that perspective also it becomes important for you people to relate it to the impact of COVID. Remember, we are having everything related to COVID in the past couple of years, and one such impact has been the sociological impact of COVID, and this is one such example which you can relate to, or you should be able to relate to, that people have, you know, the ones who are at the bottom or the most below the strata when we talk about that economic pyramid of our society, they are the ones who have been facing even activities such as trafficking, right? People have been forced into such kinds of illegal or unfortunate things. So that is also a parallel which should be drawn in your mind. Chalo, so coming back to the thing, with stringent penalties including imprisonment and even the death penalty in cases of an extreme nature. That is how it widens the scope of the existing legislation. Then the recommendations for the bill are to be submitted to the ministry by 14th July. After that the window will be closed and the cabinet may give its approval, and it will be tabled in the upcoming session of the parliament, right? अच्छा, एक चीज इसमें और है that there was an earlier draft also which was introduced earlier by the MWCD, but that faced severe criticism, and that was, although was passed by Lok Sabha, that was not introduced in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha did not take it up, and it was lapsed. It was allowed to lapse, right? And now this is the fresh legislation, and what the experts, those who have studied this bill, they have said that the current form of this bill has taken care of all the earlier grievances which the people were having, or the experts were having in the previous bill that was passed by Lok Sabha, right? But it did not become an act, remember that. Chaliye. So moving to the question, which of the following statements is or are not correct regarding the provisions that are provided in the new Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Care and Rehab Bill 2021? It will extend to all citizens inside as well as outside India, persons on any ship or aircraft registered in India wherever it may be or carrying Indian citizens. Second, property bought via such income as well as used for trafficking can now be forfeited with provisions set in place similar to that of the Money Laundering Act. And 3, the scope of the bill vis-a-vis offenders excludes defense personnel. Yes, Sakshi Gupta, certainly that should be the spirit, that you should be attempting all the questions in the practice sessions, right? Not in the exam, I'm saying in the practice sessions, because the more you sweat, the less you bleed. Yes, for question 4, answers please. Okay, C, D and C. Chalo, great. Means that you have maybe you've read this. Okay, there's near unanimity in the answers, either it's C or it is D. Great. Certainly the third statement stands incorrect because the bill does not exclude, but rather the bill includes even the defense personnel, right? So the scope of the bill has been extended vis-a-vis the offender's side. Even if somebody from the defense personnel has been found involved in trafficking activity, then the bill has a scope, or bill has a provision for that also, right? And this extends to not just defense personnel but all the government functionaries. This extends to all the government personnel, right? Yes, first is certainly correct that it will extend to all citizens inside as well as outside India, and anybody on aircraft registered in India wherever it may be. The condition is that the aircraft should have been registered in India. That is the condition. And second is also correct that in sync or on the lines similar to the Money Laundering Act, where if the income is found to be generated through money laundering, right, then the property, if at all that has been a property has been bought using that illegally amounted or accrued money, that can be bought and that can be forfeited. Similar provisions have now been provided for this trafficking activities in the bill also, right? So the option which is not correct is only 3, that is answer will be D, right? Chaliye. So as I told you that any person or any government functionary who is in position of any authority, including the doctors, paramedical staff, government servants, defense personnel, they all have been included in the scope of offenders when we talk about the latest draft bill on trafficking, right? Certainly that sends a very strong message across all the quarters of the society, including the people who are a part of the public sector, that the government is very serious, and this bill has provision which substantiates that argument. Chaliye, moving to the last question. Yes, recently Tunguska impact was in news. Which of the following statements is or are correct in that regard? It is related to an asteroid that struck over Siberia in 1908. The impact was the biggest in recorded history. 3, International Asteroid Day is observed to mark this event. And 4, the Sea of Okhotsk lies on the eastern coast of Siberia. Good morning, Mohit. Hanji, let's discuss the first statement. B, C, C, D. चलिए B, C and D सारे ऑप्शंस आ गए हैं, A को छोड़ के अभी तक तो. Yes. Okay, great. See, recently this Tunguska impact that was in news because we celebrated the International Asteroid Day on June 30, right? And this day is celebrated, or it is marked, because it is the day in 1908 when the asteroid struck Siberia, that is the Russian region, right? And the impact which it had is named as the Tunguska impact. Fine. So first, second are correct and third is also correct, and until that point of time this was the biggest in recorded history, that is the Tunguska impact. Fine. And the last statement that also relates to the region that you call Siberia, that is the Sea of Okhotsk, it lies on the eastern coast of Siberia, right? So all the statements stand correct, 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So answer for question 5 is D, because when you see the map, that Russian region, yeah, so here you can, sorry for that, yes, here you can see that this is the Siberian region where you have this Sea of Okhotsk. For those where the font seems to be small, the place of Tunguska event in 1908 in the Siberian region of Russia and the Sea of Okhotsk there, right, in the vicinity on the eastern coast. So that is the Tunguska impact in Serbian region, the Sea of Okhotsk, which is in its vicinity. And recently, why was it in news? Because the International Asteroid Day was observed, right? Chaliye. So that is all for today. It's a wrap from my side. Thank you all for your patience. Study well, stay safe, take care. This is Piyush signing off. Thank you so much.